Hey everybody, this is Jim the Tabletop Engineer, and welcome back to my playthrough of a game called Mythos Tales. These are a series of investigations. You actually do it yourself, and there's some props and things like that. If you didn't watch the first episode, definitely go back and watch it. It'll give you an idea of how it works. Today I am going to be doing another investigation. The date is August 8th, 1929. Now, off camera, I went ahead and examined the Arkham Advertiser newspaper clipping for this date. The flip side was for the last investigation, and there's another stack in the box over here for further investigations. But this is the one relevant to today's investigation, and I've gone ahead and read all of them. There are some of interest that sort of make you think this may be related to an investigation, and others not so much. I specifically like the Men Wanted. This is an advertisement that matches the one that Ernest Shackleton put out for his going to the South Pole. So I think that's I thought that was kind of cool. All right, so let me go ahead and catch you up. We are in the second investigation, which starts on page 19. It's called Flesh and Blood. Investigation number 2, August 8th. Now, this is going to use a new, I'm not going to read this to you, but it uses a new mechanic not introduced in the first investigation, but it's called requirement cards. These are numbered 1 to 19. Sometimes you will be told to take, let's say I receive a key. The book will tell me that that's like encounter card number 1. And so later on, maybe I go somewhere, and before I read it, it says, do you have encounter card 1? Well, if I don't, I can't read that thing. But if I do, I can read it, and maybe it says, you reach for the door is locked, but you have a key. So that's how these numbers will work. I don't know anything about this investigation, but I do know that the mechanics tell you that it will start. Let me read this to you. So, Armitage, who is sort of my mentor, he's doing his own investigation. And through this book, I'm doing mine. And what I'm trying to do is do it in a reasonable amount of time and to be able to come back and answer questions that will be posed to me. Now, Armitage is a much better investigator, so I'm trying to beat him. But obviously, I didn't in the last investigation. But we shall see. Armitage says, I believe this should be a rather straightforward investigation. However, guard yourself well. We are dealing with an aggressive foe. I'd estimate that I can solve this case by visiting between 7 and 11 locations. Keep in mind this is just an estimation based on what is presented in the introduction. Take my estimation for what it's worth. There may be surprises along the way that even I cannot foresee. I am going to give you plenty of time to find the perpetrator, so don't rush in haphazardly trying to solve this too quickly. But let's wrap it up by day 5 evening. So I've placed the X on day 5 evening, and I start on the morning of day 1. Let's read the introduction. On a wet August morning, you step into the office of Professor Henry Armitage in Miskatonic University's renowned Orne Library. You're surprised to find no one waiting for you. It was only this morning you received his call, and you've never known him to be late or miss an appointment. You spend a few minutes watering Armitage's violets. Forgive my late arrival, Armitage's voice rings out in the hallway. Please don't think I take your assistance for granted. It has been an eventful morning. His arrival doesn't assuage your anxiety. Late and apologetic? Something is amiss. He hands you today's copy of the Arkham Advertiser. You catch the headline, Night Watchman Found Dead at Miskatonic. And yes, that is right here, this one. The old man wipes the dirt and leaves from his shoes. 3 years ago, there was an attempt to steal a very dangerous book from the restricted section of the library. The theft was prevented, but it was clear that more security was required. You think whoever killed this watchman stole the book, you ask? Before we get to that, there are several details about the murder the paper leaves out. Unpleasant details. Armitage closes the door. The corpse was left in a rather grisly state. The attacker removed the victim's skin and blood. So victim, no skin, no blood. Your anxiety grows into an icy dread. That's insane. It made perfect sense to someone last night, Armitage shakes his head. This morning I informed a mother and father that someone left their son a mutilated corpse, and he had not worked here long. You know, I have witnessed so many unspeakable, horrific things, but that, Armitage struggles for the words. I'll just put father and mother. I don't know if that's relevant. Armitage spoke to them. You reach over and place a comforting hand on Armitage's shoulder. He takes a moment to compose himself. There's something else. Make sure your shoes are clean and follow me. You wipe the mud from your shoes and accompany the old man down the hall to the restricted section. So we're going to the restricted section. Remember, this murder took place at Miskatonic University. As you do, you see a distinct trail of dried earth running along the floor. Was this from our killer? Indeed. Armitage stops at a door bearing the sign that reads, "Restricted, no entry." The trail of mud goes no further. He continues, "When I arrived this morning, the watchman's keys were in the lock. Keys in lock. And this door was open, and the door was open. The watchman's keys, however, will only open the outer door, not the inner." Okay, so that only opens outer door. Armitage unlocks the outer door and switches on the lights to eliminate the overstuffed shelves in the windowless room. A second door within the restricted section provides further protection for the Necronomicon. Armitage glances in its direction. And oddly, the Necronomicon is in a foul mood today. One would think it would be excited. The trail of mud does not cross the threshold of the room. So there's no muddy tracks to enter room. Yes, one would think, you mutter. You are not sure if Armitage is serious when he speaks of the Necronomicon's moods, but you have grown accustomed to this odd manner of expression. You glance quizzically around the room. He unlocked the outer door, but didn't come inside. It's very telling. Armitage points to the inside of the door jamb, where there are a series of occult protection symbols etched into the wood. So there are runes on inside of room. As I said, more security was required. The fact that the intruder couldn't pass this door with those protection symbols suggests that it was something other than human. Whatever it is, I believe it will grow more desperate as a result of this failure. Armitage closes the door and locks it. As the two of you walk to the library exit, he says, "We must find out what this creature is, what its motivations and intentions are, and most importantly, how do we stop it?" Inspector Garrison and his men have collected the evidence from the crime scene and turned it over to Dr. Corbett. That's probably going to be my start. Evidence. He may have uncovered something, and as much as I hate to admit it, there is someone else who might have knowledge on this creature. I won't mention the scoundrel's name, the occult expert. You have proven yourself to be quite resourceful. You will figure it out, but be careful. We shall work independently. Time is not on our side. Armitage holds the front door open, letting a hard wind into the library. Okay, so I am at Miskatonic University. I'll open the map, although I don't know how much I'll need it. It is helpful to remind me of where I am. So, we are beginning our research, and we are at Arkham University, which is down here. It's this area. Let me get my newspaper just fell. Keep it handy nearby. All right. Dr. Corbett is the only name mentioned. He does mention an occult expert. Name not given. So I'll have to come back to that. That's important. But let's go see Corbett. So the way this game works, if you didn't watch the last episode, is I have this directory. It's kind of like a phone book. I go in, I can look for names and locations, and it will tell me where I need to travel. If I have to travel, I have to move this token down, but this is this morning's investigation, so I begin here. So we're going to go see Corbett first, and I look up his last name in this directory, and Corbett is, where are you? D45. All right. So that is probably his residence. But since he didn't tell me Inspector Garrison may have collected the evidence from the crime and turned it over to Dr. Corbett. I'm just going to have to go to his locale and hope for the best. So we're going to visit Corbett, I don't know how you say his last name, and he is at D45. So with D45, I take this book, and there's letters and numbers. So I'm going to the downtown district, D, and I turn to D45. They're all numbered, and I try not to read anything else, but here's D45. Dr. Corbett is hunched over several photographs with his back to the door, and yet he uncannily knows it is you entering his lab. What's fascinating about this case is the evidence we don't have, and I don't just mean the loss of skin and blood. Corbett turns around to look at you. If I were going to steal someone's skin, I'd bring a car if I had one, wouldn't you? I mean, where did it all go? That's the real mystery here. Skin is heavy and messy, so no means of leaving with skin blood. We had rain and we had mud. It's the perfect setup to see tire tracks, but there were none. No tire tracks. He points to a series of photographs of the outside of the library. You shrug. So he walked? He flew? I don't know, but I know he didn't drive. Now, I'm not one to tell you how to do your job, but it occurs to me that it's likely that your killer does not have a car. And if that's true, I bet he's been in a taxi in the last few days. Unless he flew, you added. All right, so that is that. So I finished up with the visit to Corbett, and I don't really have much to go on. I guess I could visit the taxi service and talk to them, but that seems like a red herring. But right now, I don't have anywhere else to go. So let's check it out. So I come back here to businesses, gas stations, hotels, other locations, private companies, taxi service, no. Restaurants, schools, sports, stores, transportation, taxi, Arkham bus, Arkham cab, D34. Let's go visit the cab company, Arkham cab, and it is at D34. Now the problem is that is going to take a movement. So D34. Arlo shouts to you from the garage. What's the rumpus, Seamus? His cheeriness seems immune to the drab weather and macabre headlines of the day. You cross the distance to meet him. Your cabbies have any strange fares lately? Every single day. Oh, actually, my boys have been pretty happy lately. A lot of well-to-do types coming and going. Sebastian Lyman and his crowd. Sebastian Lyman. Well-to-dos. I think that means rich. Sebastian Lyman and his crowd, if you know what I mean. The Silver Twilight? What are they up to? The Silver Twilight is a private organization related to the supernatural in Arkham. I couldn't tell you, but I know they tip well. Something's got them in a whirl. Hey, or if you aren't busy, why don't you help old Arlo shine his tires? No, thank you. Not today. All right. So we have somebody to go talk to, Sebastian Lyman, and we also have something to investigate, the Silver Twilight. So let's go see Sebastian Lyman first. So for the last investigation of the evening, I will go see Sebastian Lyman. Now, if he's not in here, I may have to look up the Twilight, but let's look them up both just to see. Lyman is in here, L18. And the Silver Twilight, now that's an interesting one. That, we'll have to look for it. Churches and funeral homes, no. Charitable organizations, no. Local culture, no. Diners, financial institutions, graveyards, no. Hotels, no. Local lifestyle, local government, medical, no. Other locations, it's not here. Private companies, it's not there. Residential private, not there. Residential student, not there. Restaurants, not a restaurant. Schools, not a school. Sports, clubs, here we go. Clubs. Masonic Lodge, Gentlemen's Club, Miskatonic Valley Paranormal Society, Order of the Silver Twilight, L18. And isn't that where Sebastian Lyman was? Let me look. I wrote down 8, but I think it was 18. I think I made a... Lyman is at L18. So they're both L18. So that's good. That saves me a trip. L18. In the French Hill district. Stepping into Sebastian Lyman's living room, you seem to have interrupted a conversation between Lyman and two sinister-looking men seated across from him. Two sinister men. He waves for you to join him by the fireplace. I don't have much time to speak to you, I'm afraid, but I have an answer to your question. He points to the portrait of a dour-faced old man that hangs above the mantel. You were wondering about the identity of this man. You've never given the portrait any thought, and certainly never would have asked about it, but you play along. I was. He was a Scotsman from the clans McNaught. Scotsman. The clan McNaught. Of course, Knott has turned to Knight these days, so his last name is McKnight. Lyman smiles inscrutably. Ah, you say. He obviously can't talk directly. I'm afraid I must return to my current business. You should find me later. Lyman winks. We can speak again at French Hill. And remember to bring that 64 Chateau Lafite Rothschild. I don't know what that means, but I'm writing it down. 64 Chateau Lafite Rothschild. You've been promising me. Got it? The 64. He stresses the 64. You nod, but you're not sure his meaning. Lyman must want to meet with you in a more private place. 64... He says we can speak at French Hill. I wonder if he means 64 French Hill. But he did give me... He was a Scotsman. I think that's... That just sounds like a red herring. Let's check out... All right, so the evening is done. So we're done with that. And we'll go to day 2, morning. Let's look and see if 64... French Hill is actually a location. So looking around here, the French is here. And E College, Peabody, Powder Mill, French Street, French Hill. French Hill. Is there a French Hill? I don't see anything. French Hill Street, French Hill. I'm just looking at the map and I'm not seeing any French Hill. Let's look up. How do you look this? 64. Is there a 64? There's an F60. There is an F64 on SE Street. But he said the 64 Chateau Lafayette Rothschild. 64 Chateau Lafayette. That is a tricky one. Okay, let's look up McKnight, just in case. There is a G McKnight in the thing. Let me write down G64. Just in case. G McKnight. F64. Oh, F64. 64. That's got to be it. All right. So we are going to go to F64 McKnight and see what's up. F64. F64. Come in quickly, Lyman implores you. Once you're inside, he closes the door and locks it. I'm glad you took my meaning. Miss is currently out of town, and I needed a way to speak to you without being observed. Lyman takes a cautious glance out the curtained windows. Right now, every lodge member is under extreme scrutiny. Satisfied that you aren't being observed, he sits down. First of all, the Orne wasn't the only library this intruder tried to break into last night. Before going to Miskatonic, this would-be thief visited the lodge's private library and was similarly turned back by our protections. Only members of the Order know the location of this library. Okay, so the Orn and the Silver Twilight Library both robbed. Both broken into. But only members can get into that. Okay. Only members of the Order know the location of the library. You have a traitor in your ranks, you ask? Lyman smiles. Our oaths of loyalty are very, shall we say, compelling. I cannot imagine any of our living members betraying the secret. Could someone who's supposedly dead betray you? Someone dead did betray us, he responds. He wasn't dead at the time, however. In 1793, Jedediah Cahill's son, man, that's a name, Jedediah Cahill had a son, snuck into that big empty house across from the old wooded graveyard. Old wooded graveyard. People call it the unnameable. At any rate, it left the boy catatonic. The father was desperate to save his son. He joined our order, hoping to find a way to undo the damage. He stole an ancient, very powerful book from our library, thinking he could use it to preserve his son's life. I suppose it didn't work. You recall Armitage's word about telling the watchman's parents about their son's death? Worse, said Lyman. When the abomination was discovered, Cahill was expelled from the order and the book was moved to a different city. In the wake of Jedediah's mistake, 8 people were found dead, flayed, and bloodless. Blamed for these murders, he was burned at the stake. So Jedediah was burned. You can see Lyman getting nervous, but you have more questions before you leave. What is in this book that is so dangerous? Lyman puts his finger to his mouth, indicating a secret he cannot tell. I can say it is an earlier version of a text Armitage has in his library. It makes sense that this thing would go to where our copy used to be first. It is a somewhat addictive text. Once a person of a particularly obsessive temperament has been exposed to the book, he'll keep trying to regain it. Also, if he can't get the original, he'll try to make do with what he can. He may try to copy the text on the same medium as the original, human skin, but he'll never let it go. What happened to the son? Lyman shrugs. Noah? At the time, that wasn't the order's concern. Now, I'm hoping you can tell me. I need to leave now. I'll exit out the back door. Wait 10 minutes and then leave the way you came in. Take requirement cards 1 and 2. All right? I have requirement cards 1 and 2. I'm just going to write this in here so I don't forget. All right, that was this investigation, which was a good one. I've got quite a bit here. I've got Jedediah Cahill. I've got his son Noah. We know that the book is the Necronomicon. I say it so weird. I know it drives people crazy. The Necronomicon. So somebody tried to take theirs, couldn't do it, and then went for the one at the Orn Library and failed as well. No signs of traveling, like by car. The taxi people didn't mention anything. It's interesting. All right. So what do I have? Obviously, the McKnight is a dead end because it pointed me to F64, which is fine. It's this Noah Cahill. Let's see if he's in town. Let's see if Cahill's in town. Cahill. There is no Noah Cahill. Nope, not a Noah Cahill. There is no Cahill at all. What was this unknowable? The unnameable, a graveyard. Okay, hold on, graveyard. There, that's somewhere. Graveyards, the old wooded graveyard, M1. Right now, that is all I've got to go on. So I will spend a trip to M1, the graveyard. Moving here, and M1. It actually does not exist, and so because it does not exist, I don't have to waste that trip. Actually, hold on. If there's nothing to read, I'm pretty sure it tells me you don't. M1. Yeah, there is no M1. Okay. Well, that was a mistake. But he mentioned a house, the unnameable. Hold on. So, unnameable. Aren't there famous residents? Ah, the unnameable. M3. At the graveyard. That's right. Unnameable. All right, so we'll spend it. And I'm going to double check, but I am pretty sure that the rules say that if you don't have something to read, you don't. It doesn't waste a. It doesn't waste a trip. Let me double check. Okay, very important. Players may vote after selecting. After the player announces. No location. It is important to note that if players travel to a location without an encounter, they do not count that location in the final count of locations when scoring. Okay, but it still counts as a. It doesn't count as a travel, but I think it does still count as a period here. Is what it's saying is at the end you're going to add up the total number of trips you made, and that affects your score. This one won't count, but it still shortens the number of periods I have to investigate. So let's move it down. We'll go to the unnameable M3. There it is. The large house known as the Unnameable has always filled those who see it with a sense of seething dread. The window panes have all been shattered and never replaced. Uninhabited for more than 200 years, the property officially belongs to the city of Arkham, but there is little done in the way of caretaking. The front door is locked, and you know that Armitage would not want you to get caught trespassing. If you arrive during the morning or afternoon, I do not. I'm in the evening right here. Proceed to supplemental counter. If you arrive at the Unnameable during the evening, which I did, proceed to supplemental encounters on page 30 and read entry 5. Page 30, entry 5. All right. Supplemental encounters, entry 5. The front door drifts open on its own as soon as you unlock the padlock holding it shut. At the edges of your flashlight, you see mice and insects race towards the shattered corners of the front room. The floor creaks as you walk, and each step is accompanied by the crunch of desiccated leaves and broken glass. As you make your way further into the house, you see a slight glow coming from downstairs. Reaching the top of the stairs, Reaching the top of the stairs, you can clearly see candlelight and a shadow moving. As quietly as you can muster, you creep down the first few steps. In an instant, the creature at the bottom of the stairs the creature is at the bottom of the stairs looking directly at you. Sorry. It's not clear in the dark, but the creature seems to flicker in and out of the shadows, mouth open, yellow fangs. If you have requirement card 5, you must decide right now if you want to use it on the vampire. Then continue reading. I don't have it, so I cannot continue reading. So what do I do? If you have the requirement, you must decide right now if you want to use it. Then continue reading. Okay, I don't have it, but you continue reading. Horrified, you turn to run, but the monstrous thing is so quick, it flickers across the room like a flame. It's already tearing at your ankle. By the time you're halfway back to the door, it has a solid grip on your coat, pulling you from the side to side, threatening to take you completely off your feet. You fight back, and by sheer good fortune, your coat rips before you fall, and you're free long enough to make it out the front door. You run until your lungs are burning, and the blood from your torn ankle is filling your shoes. When you finally look back, you see the Unnameable as it was before, with the door securely shut. You won't be doing any more investigation without some rest and medical attention. Advance the time tracker one additional space to account for a delay as you recover. So I had to recover. I just escaped with my life, but however, I did have to burn a day of research or a time of research to recover. So that is not good. All right, we have a vampire. So there is a vampire, and let's see. The house is a dead end. Well, I could return during the day. It's a vampire. The vampire sleeps during the day. So let's go back to the house. The house is at M3. So we are going to visit to M3, the house, again, during the day. During the well, this is, I had to advance it one, so now I move it here. I'm in the afternoon. So this time when I go to M3, let's see, M3, which I read in the previous one. Basically, it was the outside of the house, and it says if you arrive during the morning or afternoon and have requirement card 3, which I don't, proceed to supplemental encounter. I don't have requirement card 3, so maybe I need to get something to ward off vampires. I am at a loss here. Jebediah Cahill, the Silver Twilight. I've already visited all these locations. What have I not done? Let's go to a church. This is a long shot. This is a real long shot. Let's see what happens if I go to a church. Arkham Congregational, First Presbyterian. Oh, wait, somebody mentioned a church. Hold on. Did I not write it down? I didn't. I could have sworn that somebody mentioned a church. Let's just go. There's a lot of churches. Arkham Congregational, Ashbury Christ Church, Denison First Baptist, St. Michael's Catholic. That's probably where I could find holy water and a cross. Let's go to F18. So, I can't do that. I wasted a trip. F18. We're going to go to church, which is the St. Michael's Church. All right. I think I figured it out. It's the vampire. So maybe I have enough to do this. We're in the evening. I'm going to go to F18. Is F18 actually anything? It is not. There is no F18. So that will not count against me, but it does burn a trip. So the next morning, I think we're done. I think we've got this figured out. It was a vampire that killed him and tried to capture it. Now, I don't know why, but I think we're going to conclude. Let's conclude. And this could be very bad. All right, so the conclusion is the questions are on page 34. So let's answer them. What kind of creature killed the Watchman? All right, that is a vampire. 2. What was the creature's name? Oops. Who is Jedidiah Cahill's living descendant? Noah. Where can the creature be found during the day? At the unnameable house. 5. Why is the creature there? I would say that's its lair. Where did the creature take the skin of its victims? I would say to the unnameable. What is the creature doing with the skin? That is going to be copying the text of the Necronomicon. Whose blood revived the creature? Oops, I don't know that. 9. Where did Jedidiah Cahill bury his son? I don't know. I missed a lot here. Why did he bury him there? Don't know. What caused Jedidiah Cahill's son to fall into a catatonic state? He went to the house. Or maybe he got bit. All right, we may have failed this one. What kind of creature killed? Vampire. I get 2 points. Nothing for this. Who is Jedidiah Cahill's living? Oh, I missed it. I missed that one too, so nothing. 4. Where is the creature found? In the basement of... Oh, I missed that one too. Why is the creature there? They were built on the site where its home used to be. Failed. Where did the creature take the skin? 2 of the unnameable. All right, well, I got that one right, which is worth 3. What is it doing? Using it for pages of a book. I got that one. 5. Whose blood? Missed it. Where did Jedidiah Cahill bury his son? On the unvisited isle. Missed it. Oh, I totally forgot about the article mentioned 2 women were on the unvisited isle. But anyway, why did he bury him there? Vampires can't cross running water. Missed it. What caused his son to fall into catatonic state? Visit to the house. 3. All right, so I got 2, 5, 10. I got 13 points. Here it says, if you travel to the Western Dormer, Hangman's Hill, or Nathan Apartments at night, take 1 point penalty. I did not. Count the number of locations you visited, even if they did not contain an actual written encounter. Deduct 1 point for every location you visited beyond 10. Armitage was able to answer the questions by visiting 10. Well, unfortunately, the places I visited total 1, 2, 3, 4, and I also remember I did one of them didn't count. 1, 2, 3, 4. I had to rest. 5. Then I visited again. 6. Then the church. 7. And that's when I gave up. So I didn't visit more than 10. Deduct 1 for every location you do visit beyond 10. So nothing there. Final score is 13. 13 or higher, you win. On the following page, you may view the locations Armitage visited. So I did miss a lot, but I got enough of the mystery. The vampire, he was trying to steal the book to copy its pages, and I knew where to find him. And so I got enough. The big points I got. It was the little 2 points that I missed. So I did manage to get a good score. I just gave up too soon. Now the problem is the solution. Here we go. Let's read the solution. In Armitage's study, a fire crackles invitingly in the fireplace, and you allow yourself to enjoy this simple pleasure, despite the object sitting on a stand between you and your mentor. The Necronomicon, a strange book that was so central to this case. You can feel its power, its hunger for blood and destruction. Flesh and blood, your mentor says in the quiet. Back in 1793, there was nothing Jedediah Cahill wouldn't do to try to save his son. How noble, how ruinous. It is fortunate that Mr. Lyman was willing to share what the Order knew about the Cahills and their history. The knight lives in the square between the tower and the church, or rather, the rook and the bishop. I don't understand that. After Noah Cahill's encounter with the Unnamable left the child unresponsive, Jedediah joined the Order and stole the copy. It is said that the text must be written on human flesh. Using this book, Jedediah marshaled dark forces to restore the boy. The results were monstrous. The boy rose as a vampire, hungry for blood, as well as an overwhelming compulsion to possess the book that had birthed him. However, the Order had reclaimed the property and moved it, so the creature began to make his own book, using the skin of his victims. Mob justice blamed Jedediah and burned him at the stake, but not before the elder Cahill had managed to put an end to his son's reign of terror. But Noah's sleep was not to be eternal. The monster returned after 150 years to resume its terrible work. By day it slept in the basement of the apartments where its home had once been. By night it took its victims to the Unnamable and tried to fashion them into the pages of its own book. The sun has risen, you interject. So it has. Armitage stands and collects the crowbar and axe that were leaning against his chair. Decapitating this beast will be a grim bit of business, but it is pleasant to think about Rachel Cofton, a descendant of the Cahills. I'm given to understand she has 7 grandchildren in Boston. The two of you stand in silence for a moment. Family can be good, you say. Indeed. Let's return this to its proper home and get on with our task. So where did Armitage visit that I didn't? He went to Professor Leonore Robinson. I didn't do that one. Pasquale Fenton. I don't know that one. Herbert Corbett, yes. Arlo, yes. Lyman, yes. Geraldine McKnight, F64, yes. The First Baptist Church. So I did go to the wrong church. Saltonstall, I didn't go there. The Unnamable and the Pickering House. So yeah, there were like 4 or 5 locations. Let's look at First Baptist, F15. Because that was mentioned somewhere. First Baptist Church. I don't remember where that was. First Baptist Church, F15. Where is it? Supplemental Encounters. Supplemental 2. The pastor seems to recognize the name Cahill. Okay, so it had to be when he told me about Cahill, and that was at F64. He stole an ancient powerful thing. Cahill blamed him for the dead. It is something particularly what happened. Where was I? How did how was I to make the jump to the church? The old wooded graveyard. Oh, maybe the old wooded graveyard is... Let me look at that. The old wooded graveyard is M3. And what church is in the M district? Let's look. I'll bet you it's the Baptist church. Churches, graveyards. Old wooded graveyards, M1. Churches, M48. That would not have been it. So how did he get to F15, the First Baptist Church of Arkham? I missed something. I did. I missed a mention of or maybe... Now, why did he go to... Oh, you know what? He mentioned the name of the person I'm supposed to know, which is Pasquale. This guy, Pasquale, is L4. Let me go to L4 and see what Pasquale tells him. I thought it was Lyman. It was not Lyman. It was Pasquale. For as many times as you've seen the interior of Pasquale Fenton's home, it never fails to disturb you. Each cabinet overflows with curios from long forgotten ages. Most of these trinkets are counterfeits, obviously, but a few seem genuinely unnerving. He's points you to an old chair. Did Armin just send you? There's a cult in the Orient that ritually skins their victim, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't take into account for the loss of blood. That suggests a vampire. A vampire, like in the movies? Yes, it drinks blood, it fears religious symbols. I can't imagine why a vampire would remove the victim's skin, however. That's all I can tell you. So that would have put me onto the vampire, but I encountered the vampire, which gave that information to me anyway. So what did I miss? How did he know to go to the church? The church was the church was supplemental 2. The pastor seems to recall Cahill. And the pastor would have given me Rachel's name as the relation. And by then going and talking to her, it probably would have given me information about the apartments. I'm just taking a guess here, but you know what? I'll take my win. I got enough of the information to impress Armitage. 13 points gives me a win, and I will take it. All right, that's all I got. This is Jim, the Tabletop Engineer. Thanks for joining me on this game of Mythos Tales. I'll be back soon with another investigation. Until then, everybody, take care.
Check out the new RPG and Wargame newsletter. Each week, the Tabletop Engineer shares news, products, Kickstarters, and much more related to the gaming hobby. It's free to subscribe, so check out the link in the video description below to sign up.